YouTube's War on Older Creators by TDT.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier. Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier.
Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier, and welcome back to Bendy and the Dark Revival.
If the Markiplier that was making content over 10 years ago started uploading today, would he have survived as a creator?
Honest answer, no. Which is unfortunate. That is incredibly unfortunate, but the answer is no.
As an avid Markiplier fan, YouTube viewer, and now a full-time creator, I believe there are 4 things about the platform that have changed drastically in its almost 20-year lifespan, and it's not entirely for the better. The YouTube I grew up watching is completely changed, so much so that I believe YouTube is no longer friendly towards my childhood favorite creators' content style, and I want to examine why.
I think it was a strong
YouTube
intro.
started out as a dating website before being bought by Google in 2006. This
Yo, did it though? I actually didn't know this.
time brought massive changes to the platform, most importantly, shifting it over to be an online video hosting service and, moreover, a search engine. To this day, YouTube is first and foremost a search engine, but it would be hard to tell for most viewers. Most viewers nowadays will rarely interact with this fundamental feature, as most viewers watch over 90% of their content from suggestions by the algorithm.
Yeah.
YouTube's suggestion algorithm is a black box of computer-generated decisions that takes inputs from what the user clicks on, how long they watch, and how often they watch to recommend content it thinks the viewer will like. No one has been able to perfectly figure out this algorithm, and if they did, they would be the most watched channel on the platform.
So here's the thing as well. Even if you did know, you couldn't tell anybody. You would be under an NDA to not disclose that you were even under an NDA, right? They couldn't even disclose that you couldn't even disclose that you were under an NDA to not be able to disclose that information. Like, this is going to legally just be buried, right? And also, reasonably so, if you are able to have this information, right? Obviously, if you come to your own conclusions, that's a little different, right? But let's say John Doe 247, right? Just random name I pulled up out of the air, right? John Doe 247, through insider information, has access to exactly how the YouTube algorithm works. That should be punishable, in my opinion. That might be reaching a little too far, but if we're all going to be playing on this kind of quasi, I'm going to use quantum here in regards to the algorithm, it simultaneously is and isn't, right? Although that's technically the incorrect thing. I don't know, I'm going to roll with it. Like, everyone has to play on that same playing field. Yes, reward experience. Yes, reward ingenuity, right? But if you have insider information to how the algorithm actually works, like you are connected to somebody and know how that works, or are a prior employee, you should not be able to use that information. I say this on precedent that, let's say you work for Fortune 500 company, right? You can't, you sign away stock options because you would have access to insider information and thus be able to insider trade. You sign away, in a lot of cases, being able to go with a competitor company. So Fortune 500 cell phone company, you could not necessarily move to Fortune 500 cell phone company too, right? Like, there's a lot of things, and we should all be playing by the same set of rules.
He who rules the algorithm rules the World Wide Web. Because of this ambiguity on exactly what makes the algorithm recommend video content, YouTube has had metas. A meta, or the most effective tactic available, is present in almost any sport, video game, or business, though it may not be labeled as such. Metas are the most optimal way to play in the given system. When YouTube was young, and there were less than 1 million people on the platform, subscriptions were the meta. Back in the day, having a ton of subscribers meant most of those people would actually watch practically everything you made. Why? Because the algorithm, if it could even be called that at such a prehistoric state, pushed subscriptions above all else. This meant that subscribing to someone was a much more personal relationship between the creator and the viewer. Subscribing had serious weight, at least by today's standards. But YouTube realized that there was a problem. YouTube was growing rapidly. Soon, ad revenue became an incentive for many, many creators to start creating, and showing viewers the narrow slice of subscribe to channels that they had meant people weren't staying on the platform as long as Google wanted. So slowly, it began to shift over to the meta we know it as today. Prioritizing watch time, click-through rate, with discovery being easier for new creators, even more people flooded the platform like the California Gold Rush spike of 49. During this time of change in the early 2012s, the current veterans of YouTube gaming struck it rich. They caught the wave of change that perfectly supported what we love them for today. Personality-forward entertainment with creator recognition-focused thumbnails. With how formulaic and over the top most thumbnails are nowadays, this can be a bit hard to believe, but most older content was, by today's standards, boring to look at.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real, right? I mean, we have many people who have done Let's Plays over the years, right? I have a VOD channel because in a Kip TV, right? And it's like, I'm doing effectively outdated content, right? To put it in like a gaming perspective, I'm playing like Frognarks in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Against like Fiendsmith, right? Like you have people who have your Fiendsmith Requiems, you have your people who have your big boy packages, right? Maybe they got their oh my god, I forgot the name of the other the hand trap dragon archetype. Anyways, but it's like it's one of those things where you are incentivized to play within the meta, but there are people like me who just go, playing within the meta is boring. It's actually probably why because I've had people say that they're just not getting alerts for my content. It's because with the vast array of things that I react to, and I'm up to 4 videos a day again, like to help accommodate some of that, it's like I just like covering a bunch of different topics. Yes, it messes with my algorithm. It feels boring to pigeonhole myself in such a way, but modern YouTube functions on pigeonholing yourself into a specific thing. Thus, family channel, horror channel, arts and craft channel, mukbang channel, etc., right? Like, why you have these kinds of things. If you're a League of Legends streamer, you're probably going to be rewarded for making League of Legends content, right? If you're making, Monster Hunter videos, you're going to be rewarded for Monster Hunter content, right? Me, I like Final Fantasy 14. Like, unfortunately, that's a weird one where interest in Final Fantasy 14 is low, and even then, it's hard to break into the sphere when you have great creators like Shenpai, Pint, Lucy Pyre used to do content for Final Fantasy 14, but has taken a step back. It's strange to think about.
For example, take a look at these 2 thumbnails. One of them is a 12-year-old Markiplier thumbnail, and the other is from a recent channel with only a few hundred subscribers.
I would say bottom right would be Markiplier.
Can you tell which is which? Because there was less competition and optimization and a heavier emphasis on viewer to creator loyalty, many, like myself, found their creator and just stuck with them like they were an artist.
Yeah.
Back when Mark first started, the reason you would click on his video was likely because you saw his face. You heard good things about him from others, or you were already subscribed and watched almost everything he put out. Some of his oldest Let's Plays were simply the same thumbnail with an incremented number. And this worked.
It does not work nowadays. I've done it. It doesn't work. In fact, I can actually tell you that this doesn't work with actual verifiable proof. So if we go to my channel, right? If we go to the channel that you're currently on, Kip Reacts, and we go to videos, so we did Bricky's thing, right? We did Bricky's Warhammer Re-Explained. If we go to the actual playlist, gentlemen, and you actually look at the thumbnails, I use the same thumbnail, but with just a different part. Like, you can verifiably see this. The series tanked, right? Nobody watched it. Few legends, few absolute amazing people watched it. Love you people, absolutely. But for all intents and purposes, the algorithm does not push content like this. And then you go to because what I do with my reactions is I make sure to use the original thumbnail at this point. That way it is identifiable. Sure, I think it's had a knock-on effect of people don't want to watch the content because they assume that it's just not transformative and low effort, and that's fine. But I use the original creator's thumbnail as well as the title, literally in quotations, as well as linking in the description as multiple points of you should check out the original content. But unfortunately, I mean, we see that this doesn't work. Like, it does not work, all things considered.
Comparing his viewership to what would have been a much smaller Markiplier, his views were incredible. Compare this to now. Try finding a smaller creator with the same upload style of old school Markiplier. The game of YouTube has been optimized. The algorithm is more figured out. The meta for new channels is closer to being solved. Creators are no longer the focus, the content is. Personalities don't start channels anymore. Now they just keep them alive. Have you noticed most gaming channels today typically rely on one game to make content for?
Remember what I was saying about pigeonholing yourself into something?
Reason is because their topic is what drives the most clicks. It's their niche. Variety and personalities struggle to survive. Why would you click on a video of someone you don't know playing a game you might not care about, while someone else is claiming to have been banned from Fortnite for letting their sister play? Likely over 70%.
I hate that. Like, I'm sure the video's good. I'm sure the person's great. And, they're just doing a job. I can't do it. It's my boomer brain. I physically can't do it.
Percent of you watching this, in fact, don't even know who I am and probably don't care. And that's fine. But you probably do care about Mark, or at the very least, you cared about this topic. I
do care about the topic. I can tell you that I have no idea who this creator is. Not care, I mean, obviously, like, as a person, right? As a creator, if they're putting out good content, yeah, I obviously do care. I think that's, support our good creators, especially in an era where it's very easy to throw a script like this from ChatGPT into an AI voice read, right? Like, the fact that content is still being made, I care about that. But in regards to, I haven't seen much of their other content. Maybe if there's a subject that I'm interested in, maybe I'd watch another video. But for all intents and purposes, like, yeah, like what he says tracks, right? It's you'll watch a video because the topic is relevant to you, or you find the topic interesting, but you don't necessarily really care about things down the line. I mean, even let's go back to the Kip Reacts channel, right? I mean, let's throw objective numbers in here, right? Through objective numbers, popular video, I didn't even know it was at 200,000 now. Yeah, I've had some hits. I've had some bangers in the past, right? Like, there have been videos that have done increasingly well. But by all, considering that, for every one of those videos, there's 10 that just haven't done well. Sure, my upload schedule, my personality, quote unquote, what personality there is, keeps the channel afloat, right? Pays the bills, it does the things it needs to, but there's not really pushes for growth, right? I can spend hours reacting to Star Wars Breakdown, hours reacting to Shenpai videos, the number of things, but at the end of the day, if it's not interesting, and clearly is this video, some people have probably clicked off the video at this point because long tangent, and that's fine. That's just how the platform works, right? Like, what he says tracks, and I view videos like this as incredibly insightful, because I could take this as a negative. I could take this as, woe is me, why am I not getting views, Fivehead? Or I could take this as, yeah, there's a genuine problem here. In my opinion, yes, the meta has changed, and YouTube's older creators would not survive in a modern environment. So, knowing that, why is that? What can I be doing differently that can be different? And I have noticed the effect as well. If you make a few good videos and you get that core audience, you're set. I'm not super popular on Twitch. That's not a self jab. I get like 20 consistent viewers. But you know what's awesome about that? It's a tight-knit 20 consistent viewers, right? When I'm not necessarily reacting to something because my full attention is on the video and adding commentary, like Meldaborn in chat, right? I know your name. You've shown up before. Max is green. Pretty sure you've shown up literally this stream, right? And just putting on in the background. So it's like, but you can have those interactions. Once you have a tight-knit community, you're, for all intents and purposes, set. It's why, as controversial as Cinder has been in the VTubing community, for all intents and purposes, she could return to streaming and be just fine, because there is a core enough of an audience, especially after the whole situation regarding her, Nanolis, and many other VTubers. She has enough of a core audience. She's going to be able to make her bills just fine. Sure, she takes a reputation hit. A lot of people are left without closure, but you hit a critical mass and you don't have to care anymore, which is interesting to think about.
Why you're here. Again, that's okay. Personality today matters, but to get discovered, you need a good topic. Doonus Honest was a fascinating case study into what would happen if a big player in the industry like Mark started from scratch. Doonus Honest was a year-long channel with daily uploads ran by Mark and Ethan. The topics ranged in variety greatly, with the central theme being, of course, the two hosts getting into shenanigans.
I think daily uploads are the meta. I have nothing to substantiate this on. I think if you have daily uploads, specifically even multiple daily uploads, I think that's how you could potentially brute force success. It does take a lot of effort, though.
This channel was almost entirely contrary to how second channels should be operated today. For big creators looking to start second channels, the most common advice is to not publicize it on your main channel.
Interesting.
This may seem counterintuitive. Wouldn't you
No. Here, I'm ready to hear him out. What's the logic on this? This is interesting.
want your audience from your established channel to know about your second channel? No, not in the current YouTube meta.
Interesting.
In the current topic-driven meta, promoting a second channel with a different main topic could hurt it.
Interesting.
Let's look at this from YouTube's point of view. Assume that you made a second channel and promoted it to your 100,000 fans.
Sure.
Let's assume these fans liked your current channel and topic and personality, and all 100,000 of them decided to go check out the second channel to support you. The first video on the second channel does great, and this boost of viewers does wonders. But then you make a second video. Now that initial 100,000 influx have to decide if they really liked that first video or if they were just here to support you.
Right.
YouTube recommends that second video, but only 20,000 watch it this time.
Thus leading into the channel death spiral, because it's not so much, from what I understand, that, and we talked about those with Scalagrim's reaction recently, right? Where he was talking about, it's not necessarily cool you had a bad upload, but if the next one does well, you can kind of get up. If you start having bad uploads, you kind of get into this downward spiral. I think that this is really interesting to think about.
To YouTube, that's 80,000 people who didn't like the video.
Okay.
So why would they keep recommending a video that not even the most dedicated fans want to watch?
Right.
But even in the far more unlikely scenario that all 100,000 of them watch the next video, what does YouTube know about this audience? Well, the most common data point that YouTube knows about it is that they all shared one viewer point, and that's your main channel. The data YouTube is getting is wildly confusing, contradictory, and historically, this has led to second channels quickly dying.
Interesting. That's probably what happened in my case as well. See, and that's the thing. Intake the information, analyze the information, retain the information, and then execute whatever your conclusion is. So, and that's the thing. I'm not infallible, right? Clearly, this individual is, one, far more educated than I am, far more successful than I am, right? And if I'm wrong, even if I want to do, say, VODs and stuff, like I clearly have been doing the wrong things. So it comes down to, yes, I am pushing 4 videos a day right now just to keep up, and I used to have to push maybe 1 a day or 2 a day, really. But clearly, something has gone wrong. I have done something wrong to lead to that spiral. I can either complain about it, or I can either understand what's going on to try and figure out how I can address that. Not necessarily fix, right? But clearly, I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe it's some algorithm, they're scanning for something promoting the channel, or it could be simply a 100,000 viewers from channel A went to channel B, and thus leading into his example. Maybe that's why what's his name? Administrative Results has a gaming channel. He doesn't say he has a gaming channel. I will find it organically. Nobody recommend it to me, please. I will find it organically, as he said that's his wishes from what I understand. But it's like, that suddenly makes a lot more sense.
Experience with a one-topic channel, that channel being Destiny 2, I can tell you from insider experience, almost every major Destiny 2 creator has a side channel they made that you never found out about.
Interesting.
Why? Because today it is far more effective to let YouTube grow your channel naturally from the ground up around the topics of that channel than to rely on personality and viewership relationships to carry your viewership.
Right.
I love Doonus Honest, but part of me wonders if no one knew who Mark was, would it have been as successful to get even a quarter of its views? Regardless of what the video was titled, Mark was the actual topic. A topic only possible because of Mark's legendary and well-deserved status. But all of these changes are mostly better for you, the viewer, because as competition ramps up, so does production quality.
Right.
Because YouTube isn't this small side project of Google anymore, because hundreds of millions of creators are making hundreds of millions of dollars with over 500 hours of videos being uploaded to YouTube every minute, competition for clicks is far more intense than ever before. Compared to when Mark got his start, to remain competitive, your videos must be the most watchable thing on the platform. Looking back at his older content and seeing practically zero editing or thumbnail art is an astonishing contrast to most successful starting channels today.
I mean, it's really what I've done. But to be fair, I know more of this from like the Vinesauce style of editing, right? Love Vinny Vinesauce, watched him for a number of years. Yeah, no, like this is the YouTube I remember, and that's the thing, is that this is not how this functions anymore.
And even to this day, Mark and other veteran giants on the platform are statistical oddities.
Yeah.
The cost of production on their videos are minimal. Most other large channels, gaming or not, employ multiple editors, artists, and writers to make their videos.
Right.
While I'm, of course, speculating, channels like Mark seem to make use of maybe 1.5 people at most. For these legends, their cost of production is primarily their seniority. Channels that grab traction on this platform today tend to have teams of a few handfuls of people. Often, these people have full-time salaries because of their creator's channel. Ultimately, this has been great for the viewer. Well-produced videos are far more common and easy to find than ever before, and many people, myself included, have been able to make this dream of content creation a reality. But I can't help but feel something was lost in the process. Part of me feels like the aspects I love about Mark and other older channels like his would never make it today because of all these changes. I feel that some will never get to experience the subtle things that made these older channels what they were, and thankfully what they still are today. One of my favorite channels growing up was one by the name of Mr. Fruit. He started playing Destiny right when it first came out, and thankfully right when I got access to the internet regularly. While Fruit never got as massive as Markiplier, he was certainly successful in amassing over 2 million subscribers through his roughly 9 years on the platform. Mr. Fruit's prime perfectly took advantage of that transition from personality to topic. His editing was more involved and topic-driven than Mark's, as he often focused his titles to whatever the game he was playing was, but it was still Mr. Fruit above all else. He could practically upload whenever he wanted, and it would work because people loved Mr. Fruit. But today, Mr. Fruit is still Mr. Fruit. But it feels like the world changed around him. Markiplier is in a similar boat. Compared to a subscriber count, his views are small. Maybe I'm old, but I like watching creators for who they are.
I've actually wondered about this too, because I mean, I'm not a large channel by any means, right? And I actually there's certain things about being a smaller channel that I do kind of like. It means in generally people are less combative. Sure, if I have an L take, absolutely. Me getting called out on an L take, that's pretty reasonable, right? Yeah, sure. There's also, am I able to take criticism? I don't think I'm able to take criticism as well as I could. Absolutely. That is a failing of mine, one that I'm working on, 100%. Like, YouTube has been such a growing game for me, not necessarily to understand others and how others operate, but myself as well, and where my own shortcomings and strengths are. It's been the best learning experience I could have ever asked for. I think that, because everyone wants to be like the next Mr. Beast, everyone wants to be, well, without the allegations, right? Of course, let's put it that way, without the legal. But like, everybody wants to be big John Creator. And I honestly have my quote unquote low effort style of whatever I do, right? I mean, I try to be transformative for all intents and purposes, but at the end of the day, right, I am still using somebody else's work. I am derivative of their work. This is derivative of that video. Then obviously we get into the good faith discussion of all art is derivative in some way, shape, or form. You can't create without observation first, right? Star Wars even, George Lucas was a master in a lot of aspects, but how taking the classic hero's journey, other aspects, of storytelling, and be able to combine it into one, right? Like, there's conversations that happen here. I think that because I have noticed the quote unquote dead number metric. Because I'm currently as of reacting this, about 50,000 subs, and I kind of stagnated around there. But that's because I've had an awful just past 6 months. Just it's been rough. Let's put it that way for me. Which I'm taking a little more time away from my screen to try and do things. But like, it has made me wonder about if that's why that is. Why there's such a discrepancy between the number of, say, subscribers, constituents, whatever you want to call them, right? And number of views. And it makes me wonder if the algorithm isn't pushing it. It makes me wonder, because I don't think you'll ever have a 1-to-1, right? Like, I had 200,000 people watch the Badger Fall New Vegas reaction, right? Very popular video. There's not going to be a 1-to-1 transference of 200,000 people to 200,000 subscribers, especially when most of my videos nowadays get like 500 views, which is fine. Like, clearly, I'm just not playing the game correctly. Clearly, I've also spooked a lot of people because I've had to cover some pretty in-depth and dark topics, as I regularly do. But maybe I'm being too self-critical. Maybe it's simply because the systems and the algorithms are failing to work. And I think that's an interesting conclusion to come to.
But I don't think YouTube and most of the growing audience agrees with me. It hurts me inside seeing some of my favorite people, the people I watched and idolized growing up, struggle to find the same success as when I initially found them. Mm-hmm. People will come and go, but it feels like YouTube cheated them in some way, even though I know it hasn't. Maybe YouTube didn't change. Maybe the world did. Younger fans grew up and new fans took their place. Fans that had different tastes, not wrong tastes, just different. Even myself, I went to college, started studying for my degree, and had to prioritize my time. I put down YouTube for a few years, and when I came back, it was like going back to your hometown and finding that your favorite mall had shut down. Mm-hmm. It just isn't the same. The community feeling of YouTube is gone, or at the very least, withered. The meta, however, remains. But if I take a step back, most of this seems to be more of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm ready for this.
RT Game, Maxor, Alpharad, Zanny, and now Pirate Software. All these channels are very different from each other, but they all started from the same points of influence. Massive, successful channels of today were grown out of the influence of channels from yesterday. Like I said, YouTube has a meta, and those who find it are copied. Look at what people refer to as the Mr. Beastification of YouTube. At the end of the day, every channel wants to find success. I'm sure I can speak for everyone running a channel when I say, this is a dream job. I love this. And I would do almost anything to keep it going, even if it means following a trend for a few years.
Yeah, I could agree to this. Yeah, no, I think that this is absolutely the correct thing. I think this is absolutely the correct decision. Like, this is the correct call. Yeah, there's a lot that I would do. And it's part of why I've been taking more time away. Like, I've been actually actively walking again and stuff because, I mean, I can pump out 28 videos a week in 2 sittings, but at what cost, right? Eventually, you sit at your desk too much and you wither away so much trying to meet specific thresholds and targets that you're just like, well, you know, am I even going to be able to pick up this, you know, to pick up my sword at a certain point, to do the occasional sword content, right? And I think it's, as someone who's always struggled with work-life balance, because I'm very much a workaholic, it's been very interesting to do this.
Channels like Mark's blazed a trail that others could follow, and many did. The market was then flooded. Where we are today is because we all stand on the shoulders of the same giants. YouTube is guided by the wants of the people watching it. What's successful is what people want to watch. And with 1 million more creators on the platform every year, it's almost impossible for there not to be a community that resonates uniquely with you today. But part of me hopes we could go back to the good old days. The days when everyone wasn't trying to arrest your attention or bait your click.
Right.
The days when personality drove watch time above all else. When the topic was the creator, the person. With how much YouTube is dictated by the will of its viewers, we may one day return to that. But for now, relish those silly memories from your favorite creators in the days gone past. Maybe go watch some of their older work and appreciate the history it provides. And Thank you to all the creators whose shoulders I stand on today. You were my best times, our best times. And thank you for giving me a chance to potentially be that for you. Bless your faces and deuces.
I actually really appreciated this video. I thought this was a really good video. So this was definitely a very interesting piece to watch, and definitely thank you, TDT, for putting out an amazing video. I found this very insightful, enlightening. I found this very well put together, and I think that ultimately it's one of those things you look at and you you draw conclusions on it one way or the other. I think that when we talk about, the inevitability of content like that coming back, I think there will hit a point where people are so tired of things that are, what's the word I'm looking for? Not glorified. Manufactured is the word I'm going to use. Things are so manufactured, right? Whether it's, like Mr. Beast levels of hype, whether it's, over exaggerations. I think that people at some point are going to ask questions. A lot of them are going to seek education. A lot of them are going to seek people who are genuine. I think that we will hit a point of that. Artificial is the word I would say as well. Yeah, they don't want the artificial. They want what's genuine. But I think that we're still a ways off from that. And I also gear what I do in a way where I share the same view. I don't want to hold you hostage. I don't want to demand your time. Sure, don't get me wrong, number go down, make me sad. Number go up, make me happy, right? Sure, basic metrics things, right? And for all intents and purposes, right, I'm fairly consistent, all things considered, in regards to as long as I put out work, it just works. Because I have a core number of people who like coming out and watching Dingus talk about things, right? Who have watched other channels because I've reacted to them and hey, you should go check this person out, link in the description, which you will see a link in the description in this video. It's why I word my reactions in such a way. This will be, right, this thumbnail that you saw, right, we saw going into this, quote unquote, YouTube's more older creators, Kip reacts to, TDT. There's a reason I have redundancies in here to try to help build each other up. Not that, I need to build him up. He's clearly way more successful than I am, and so are many people I react to. But it's one of those things where I don't want to demand your time. You have free agency. You have free will. If there's a topic you don't want to watch, if you don't want me to hear me talk about a specific thing, that's completely fine. I think that at the end of the day, it comes down to respecting your audience. And I've gotten combative a number of times when people are just having discussions in bad faith or just being shitters, right? And that's sure, I would argue that's a little different, but I think it still retains, like, at the end of the day, the content is less about me. And I'm sure TDT's content is also less about him, and it's more about the viewer. I'm wanting what's best with people who watch you, which is interesting to consider. But I've rambled on long enough. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I really do appreciate it. Found this very insightful. Definitely go check out TDT if you have not. I'll see you in the next one.